What's good, Ravens fans? Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are going to talk about cut candidates, some potential players the Ravens could move on from to save on the salary cap front, as we know that they need every dollar they can to try to keep Lamar Jackson and other players in town. We'll discuss all of that and more in just a few moments from right now. Before we do, folks, we are not only trying to get to 9,000 subscribers here on the channel, but we're trying to beat our Falcons channel to 10,000 subscribers. We're gaining ground. It is a competitive race, but we need your help to get there. Subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. You'll get the latest happenings with your favorite team as we cover the news and rumors of the Baltimore Ravens each and every day. We're counting down to free agency, trades, the draft, and more. It's all in one place. Subscribe for free. Doesn't cost you a thing. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. We'll get started with today's show. Now, this discussion, for some of you out there, it's not a fun discussion to be had, but it is a necessary one. The Ravens currently have about $26 million in cap space. That's not enough money to make ends meet. As Dave Ramsey says, you got to make your money work for you. Well, you look at where this Ravens team is at, they're going to have to make some changes. They're going to have to move on from some players or adjust some things in order to have the money to not only pay Lamar Jackson potentially, but also other free agents, also when it comes to potential contract extensions and signing your rookie class and all that. And so on today's show, I have 5 potential moves. If you cut all of these players, you could save close to $19 million. We also have some potential solutions that go beyond just cutting these players potentially. We'll examine all those. Let's begin with Chuck Clark, who is kind of the obvious one of the list of the 5 names that we're going to bring you here on today's show. The Ravens have already replaced Chuck Clark essentially with what they've done, bringing in Marcus Williams and Kyle Hamilton. Obviously, Geno Stone's around too. That safety position is loaded. Chuck Clark's a good football player, but there's just not a need for Chuck Clark anymore. And if they cut Chuck Clark, obviously you'd prefer to trade him, just like anyone here on this list. You prefer to trade if you can get something out of him. But even if you have to cut him, you could save $3.5 million. Now, there's also the possibility that if you were to extend him, you can save money that way as well. Around $2 million potentially on Chuck Clark of that you could save either way. So no matter what, something's got to change. The status quo with Chuck Clark is not going to work out. Either you're going to cut him or you're going to extend him and try to save every dollar you can, essentially. So let's start with Chuck Clark. Will he play for the Baltimore Ravens next year? I lean towards no, personally. I don't think he's going to be back. I think the Ravens will try to trade him or cut him. The extension would be better than just staying pat as is, but I don't think he's back next year. What say you? Let me know in the comment section. Why for yes, in for no, if you think the Ravens will bring back Chuck Clark next season. Number 2 on our list is Malik Harrison. And Malik Harrison is one of the first names you would think of too. But even though the Ravens have a lot of options at the linebacker position of sorts, the savings on Malik Harrison are not astronomical. It's only about $1 million that you would save, but every penny does count if you were to move on from Malik Harrison. The numbers that he put up last year were nothing really to write home about, just 31 tackles, no sacks, 1 TFL. It's not going to be the end of the world to try to find others to step up and replace the production of Malik Harris if potentially you move on and you pocket that $1 million if you decide to say bye-bye to Malik Harrison as far as that goes. Got more names that we will get to in just one moment of potential cut candidates for your Baltimore Ravens. Before we do, today's show is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 every morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. I came into this year wanting to get healthier, and starting my year on AG1 has helped me do just that. I take it every morning, and I feel the best I have ever felt. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. I also like that it costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality sourced ingredients. Win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free one-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. Tell them that Tyler Jones and Chat Sports sent you. You'll be glad you did. Now, number 3 on this list, I know some people are not going to be happy to see his name on here, but hear me out on this. Patrick Ricard. And I know Patrick Ricard is one of the best fullbacks in the National Football League, and he's been a very important piece to the running game for the Baltimore Ravens in his stretch with this team over the years. But here's the simple numbers on this. When it comes to Patrick Ricard, okay, hear me out on this. If you cut Patrick Ricard, you could save $3 million. Now, if you hold things off till next year, if you were to cut him next offseason, then you're looking at $4 million you could save next year. So the question then becomes, how valuable is Patrick Ricard to you? Is he worth that money and taking that hit this year, or would you rather move on from him next year? I think that Patrick Ricard is going to be back. I don't see the Ravens making this move, but I will say that when you look at those numbers and see those type of potential savings for a fullback position, you have to think about it. You have to at least bring up the idea, the possibility that this could happen. If it's not this year, certainly seems that next year, with it being at $4 million you could save, that would be a real possibility next year. A couple more names to get to, but first, let's ask you, should the Ravens cut Patrick Ricard? I know that's controversial. I know most of you probably want to see him stay, but what do you think about that possibility? Type C for cut, type K for keep. Let me know in the comment section below which way you're feeling as far as Patrick Ricard goes. Next up on our list is Calais Campbell, and Calais Campbell is in a very interesting situation because he has talked about retirement potentially as a possibility. But then let's just say, for all intents and purposes, that for this scenario, that he wants to play football again this upcoming season, I think you're going to have to rework the deal of some sorts because the money doesn't look good for Baltimore. If you cut Calais Campbell, you can save $7 million in cap space, or you can extend and include the void years. The way his contract is set up right now, to put it in simple terms, to explain to you as if you're 5 years old, that ain't going to work. Something's got to change. If Calais Campbell's coming back, then it's got to be different than what it is. You look at the statistics last year, he had a solid season. 36 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and his teammates love him. He's a great locker room guy, but just where the numbers are at, just the situation as it stands, I understand wanting to keep him. I get all that for sure, but just where that money is, you got to make some changes. You can't be content with where you're at in this situation. It just doesn't make sense financially. You got to restructure some things and work those void years as far as I'm concerned. Last on the list is Gus Edwards, and I know Gus Edwards worked extremely hard to get back on the football field, and it was a long time coming this past year to see Gus Edwards get back out there. But you look at the numbers with Gus Edwards, you can save $4 million, or you could extend him and save $2.6 million that way. So one way or another, you got to make a change with Gus Edwards. And here's another thing to think about. Before you guys, try to destroy me for even suggesting this about Gus Edwards. Think about this. Gus Edwards is coming off an injury, right? And missing a lot of football. And he is getting older. Would you almost be better off cutting Gus Edwards and then drafting a running back, not even saying a high pick, let's say a day 3 pick potentially, to be the number 2 back. We already know J.K. Dobbins is that guy. Gus Edwards is a good back. But what more are we going to see out of Gus Edwards? Is this it? Is he going to continue to deal with those injuries? It's something you have to consider. So with that, let me know in the comment section. Be honest. Who is a player the Ravens should cut? Be real with me here. Whether it's one of those 5 names we talked about or somebody else, tell me in the comments section who is somebody you think the Ravens should cut bait and move on from and save that money. Be honest with me. You can be difficult. It's okay. Let me know in the comments section. You can interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Baltimore Ravens there. And I'll see you next time right here on the Ravens Rundown.